time?
Yes.
It's that time again for the Ballsey Rockner Podcast. Thank you, Ballsey Rockner, for allowing us to use your beautiful studio here down at the, I think this is Yamavad we're at today. You know, we're going to try to twist their arm and get them to sponsor this podcast. But so far, they haven't come up with anything, you know what I mean? We love it here, though. They give us this nice room to use. And we got Jimmy here today. He's playing a little bit on the guitar. We're going to show you a really special guitar here in a minute. One that we found and came across. It's got a lot of history. And if you're a musician, you might appreciate it.
It's a one of a kind.
Exactly. Thought today I'd start off with a little story about on the road. You know, we got a lot of people that look at this podcast who are musicians, and they want to know about becoming a musician. They got the inkling. Of course, we try to talk them out of it.
It's a rough life.
Yeah, it's a rough life if you don't weaken. But who wants to be strong, right?
That's true.
Anyway, you'll find one of the most interesting and informative and wonderful experiences of your life that can be totally devastating at the same time is traveling on the road as a musician. But you'll run across a lot of experiences, and I was just thinking last night about one experience I had. Was doing a trip going back to Nashville, do a little recording here a few years back, and at that time all I had was an Astro van, and I was doing solo work, using a lot of my tracks and everything, so at churches mainly. And I was doing a gig in a Spanish church in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So I went there, and of course, when I got there, I set all up. And at that time, I was young and thinking you needed all kinds of gimmicks. So I had my fog machine, and I had my flashing lights. Everything going. And it was a few minutes before the concert, and I looked out in the audience, and there was hardly anybody there, maybe 10 people out there. And I thought, oh man, am I going to starve to death after tonight? Because I take an offering. I was only taking an offering. It was a small church selling my CDs, but they were Spanish people, and my CDs are in English. So anyway, I went in the back room there waiting for a few minutes to start the concert, and I said a prayer, hoping somebody'd show up, and when I went out there, the church was packed. It was full.
Wow.
So I was glad for that. We had a nice concert, and wonderful people down there. I love New Mexico anyway, Albuquerque. I've been to Taos. In fact, I skied up in Taos. And it's a really wild ski resort, I'll tell you. When you get in the parking lot and you look out in the parking lot and you look up, you can look way up to the top of the hill there, and man, it looks pretty devastating. But once you get in the bunny slope, it's okay. It seems to be a little bit better. But of course, I was a pretty good skier back then, so I'd take those diamond runs, those black hills. Anyway, back to my story. I was in Albuquerque, and got a motel room, and got up in the morning, going to go have breakfast. I turned on the TV, and here on the TV was the Oklahoma bombing of that government building, and they were showing pictures of that total building being almost destroyed. And I thought, oh my, I said, but then I thought, you know what, I'm not that far away. So I went ahead and packed up, skipped breakfast, and took off for Oklahoma City. I wanted to see what this was all about in person. So I went there, and it was like they say, you know, a war zone. The Army was already there. They had tents set up. They had it was quite a circus, really. But it was a devastating blow to those people in that community. And there was a little motel there up on the corner. And it had all the windows blown out, but it was getting to be, I wanted to find a place to park my vehicle so I could walk around and get some pictures and take a closer look at this whole thing. And so I went in the little motel, and the guy at the desk said, yeah, we'll let you stay in a room. So I got my credit card out, and he said, oh, no, we can't take a credit card. It has to be cash. Well, I didn't have any cash, so I didn't get the room, so I just looked around, drove around a little while, and left. But that's just an idea, one thing that happens to you when you're on the road. You run into all kinds of things, people, places, and things, and it's very interesting. But you got to be kind of dedicated if you're going to do that, because you never know from one town to the next exactly what's going to happen. So anyway, I'm sure, Jimmy, you must have a road experience.
Well, I have a friend who toured for years and years, and he used to tell me that he couldn't sleep without a rumble of noise next to him, because he spent so many hours sleeping on the touring bus right next to the generator, So if it was quiet, he couldn't sleep because he was so used to sleeping with this humming generator on the bus. So I thought that was interesting.
Didn't you go on the road some?
Yeah, I did. I did some. Yeah. Matter of fact, we were thinking about Albuquerque and some high desert places. When you get up there, another one was Estes Park, Colorado. When you're used to being at sea level, and I don't know if you ever experienced that, but you just walk a block when you're 10,000 feet or whatever, that all of a sudden you realize how quickly you're out of breath because the air is so much thinner. So I remember that on one of the trips that I took, or a couple of trips that I took to high desert.
Say a little bit about Estes Park. That's a songwriter, a singer.
Yeah, when I was producing Michael Prevey, we went up and competed. We won in our category and had a great time up there. It was a big conference. I think close to 2,000 people. There's a ton of people up there, and a lot of every Christian artist that you can name was up there. And it was just a really great experience. Learning about the business, and they we talk about the music business. We have a book coming out on it, and they teach you a lot of stuff. They teach you about how to carry yourself on stage, and they even had classes on the business aspect, how to plan your finances and all of that type of stuff. So there's a lot to being a musician and getting out there and playing your music. And, again, we talked about that in the last episode, that it's got to be a passion. It's got to be a love, because sometimes the finances could be tight. A lot of times you're not getting rich. And then, one of the other things is if you're in a group, I've said this to a lot of people, if you're part of a group and you're touring or traveling with usually like a rock or a pop group is going to be just a handful, but hopefully you're going to get along well with those people because you're going to be around them a lot. So if if you get to a point where you're having trouble with the people that you're hanging out with, I think there are a lot of bands that over the years ended up splitting up just because, the talent was there, the group was there, but the camaraderie and the getting along part of it wasn't good. And so, somebody pops up and says, I'm out of here, or, somebody critical or everybody all at once. So yeah, getting along, if you're on the road, getting along with the people that you're traveling with is really important.
I recorded back in Nashville a few years ago, and I think the studio now is called Watershed, run by Mark Birchfield, but it was a different name back then, and they lived in the upper floor of this house, and then down in the bottom floor was the studio. And so we were in there with a bunch of musicians one day, and some guy came in and he said, you guys better batten down the hatches. There's a hurricane coming.
Wow.
What do they call them? Tornadoes or hurricanes back there?
Yeah, tornado.
Anyway, yeah, those guys, so the wind started howling, the wind started blowing, and the guys got on the floor of the studio in a circle and started praying. Well, I didn't want any part of that at the moment, so I just opened the door and walked out and stood in the middle of the street. And I dared that hurricane to
So what happened? How did it
hurt
end?
me. So I stood there, and the howling came, and the wind came, and it went around me on both sides, and it went to both neighbors' houses, took their carports off, ripped all their furniture out of the backyard, tore up a whole bunch of stuff on both sides of me, and not one hair on my head was damaged.
Wow.
And I went back in the studio and said, Mark looked at me and says, "You got to be crazy." I said, "Well, I might be crazy," but I said, "What? God controls everything, and he was controlling that storm. I believe that.
Wow.
And I'll believe that till the day I die." I've had not only good fortune, good luck, but I don't call it luck all the time. I call it being blessed. And I've really been blessed with a great family and great people to work around. I've been blessed by running onto this producer who's helping me work with my songs. And I just thank God every day I get up at 85 years old and I'm still here, still kicking, still making music. And I thank God that it's possible to do that. And just had a wonderful Thanksgiving with my family.
Mm-hmm.
And we ate all the turkey that we could stand. Now we're going to make turkey sandwiches for 3 weeks. But anyway, there's a lot of stories I could tell you from the road, even though I have a limited relative to other people. I have a relatively small travels on the road. I haven't, in fact, my whole career is very small compared to the musicians I know. Mm-hmm. I've met a lot of people in the music business, and most of them have had a lot more stories to tell than I have. And I've known a lot, and I've known a lot that are passed away. One most recent people that passed away was Jack Russell, great white singer, a guy with a fantastic voice, one of my favorite rock bands. And the guy passed away. He just abused himself horrible when he was younger, and is a great guy later in life, and had that great voice until the day he died. And if you ever want to hear some great rock music, just get a great white. The only one I have of theirs is their greatest hits, and I think I just about wore it out. But anyway, they did produce some really good music. And we're actually, even now, we're working on a pop rock type CD. We're going to be releasing some tunes. And it's fun, it's fun working on a little more up-tempo stuff. And I've just thrown out and rewrote a song that I didn't think was good enough. We're going to be working on that here today. And so I got a lot of more stories from the road we're going to be telling along the way. But it's interesting to me that we can do music and enjoy ourselves and make people happy. People enjoy music. We'll be going here tonight to see Jay Leno. He's here at the casino, and I've seen him several times. In fact, I won a truck here, and Jay Leno presented it to me, and then the casino took us all out to his garage, so we got to see Jay Leno's garage and all of his fantastic cars. He personally escorted me and my son through his entire garage and showed us everything we wanted to see. And he's a great guy. He's getting older too. He had 3 accidents all in 1 year, so he's getting a little bit older, but he's still kicking. And so I'm going to bring some pictures of some of the cars that I have and some of the cars, because I'm kind of a hot rod enthusiast. I've always, next year I already got my tickets for Alice Cooper in Las Vegas. He's going to be up there with the Magician in April, and I'm going to be there. I got my tickets for the grand show up in the coastal town of what do they call it? It's the best car show with the best cars. And also I'm working on I can't reveal too much about it because it's in the formative stages, but on a fundraiser for a good cause. And the whole idea is I have a 1932 Chevy. We're going to make that into the world's best custom car and show it at SEMA, hopefully in Las Vegas next year. And then take it to the Barrett-Jackson auction in Scottsdale and auction it off for charity. So that's just one of the plans that are roaming around in my head and the projects I got going. And hopefully you got a lot of projects too. You know, you need to read this book on success so when you get my age, you won't have to work so hard. You know, it's 454 pages.
Yeah.
Everything you need to know to be successful is in this book.
Yep.
And it's available on Amazon.com.
Amazon.com. Yes.
Amazon, or you could get it on my website, which is DanneyEdwardBall.com.
Yes.
Spelled Danney with an E, Danney.
So Danney, let's show them this beauty.
Oh yeah, we got
here.
This guitar we got to show you.
Okay,
I'm just rattling on here.
I'm gonna try. Go ahead and talk about. Tell us where you got this.
Okay, well,
here's the.
There was a lady
on that.
out in town where I live, which is Hemet, California, and my daughter-in-law was kind of taking care of this lady and cleaning her house for her and everything. Well, this lady's husband passed away, and he was a guitarist. You know, he was a musician.
Look at that.
And so I learned that he was selling these guitars. So I went out there and talked to her and said, you know, what kind of guitars you got for sale? Well, one of them was this guitar right here, which is the most interesting guitar I've ever seen. Evidently, this guy who was playing guitar, and we should have a couple of those pictures of him to show, Jimmy, if you can get up those. This guy, what was his name? Hammer
and
time. Evidently, he spent a lot of his time carving on this guitar.
Peace sign.
And he's carved everybody of importance in the country, especially country and rock. Elvis's name is on there. Chet Atkins, all kinds of stuff is carved into that guitar. It's just an amazing work of art. And, you know, I thought about this since I was talking about raising money for a charity. I may just auction that guitar off someday for charity. But we'll show you this guy. He evidently was in this band back in the 60s. And he had a bunch of guitars. If any of you is interested in a double neck, I got a Gibson double neck now from him, and I'm not going to keep it. I'm going to sell it. So if any of you are interested, just get a hold of me at artistdanball.com. Or I should say artistdanball@gmail.com. That's my Gmail address. I live in Hemet, California. My website is Danney Edward Ball, like I said, and you can go there and you can see all of I got a vinyl album on there, got 3 or 4 books that I wrote on there, and CDs, all of my CDs and everything. Here's some pictures of this guy.
Well, this is from a newspaper clipping in 1968. This is Mike Hammer right here. You can see that's Mike Hammer right there, 1968. And Devil's Brigade was the name of his group. Devil's Brigade. You can see how old this newspaper is. 1968. That was in the guitar case.
Oh, yeah.
Here's a couple pictures of him older. A little bit of shine on that one. I don't know if you can see that. There's that one, holding one of his guitars. And here's another one.
That looks like him when he was older.
Yeah.
I don't know how old he was when he passed away, but...
Telecaster.
Yeah.
So I think we should dub this one the Hammer Special.
Yeah, the Hammer Special, the Hammer Guitar Special. Anyway, we're making him famous. You know, the guy deserves it. He had a guitar collection, playing guitar all those years and carving all those names in that guitar. Mm-hmm. I think we should make him famous, don't you?
Yeah, he deserves it. Yeah. the Devil's Brigade, Mike Hammer.
Yep. Well, I didn't say anything about the health book, so I'll tell you now, in case you didn't hear from an earlier podcast. The devil is in the entrails.
Speaking of the devil,
yeah,
he's in the entrails.
How to avoid a gut-wrenching health crisis. If you're smoking, stop, please. Mm-hmm. If you're drinking too much, stop. Anything you're doing that becomes a habit can be detrimental to your health. And we're all about good, healthy eating. Mm-hmm. Healthy foods, you know.
Yeah, time to start looking into ginger.
There you go.
And turmeric.
Yeah.
And cinnamon.
Yeah.
And cloves. honey, lemon.
You know, I eat 3 eggs. I fry 3 eggs every morning.
Oh, you do?
In butter.
Yeah, it's funny. They kind of started talking about everybody's cholesterol and eggs were bad or whatever, and they finally swung back on that and said eggs are actually really good, a really good source of protein. And I cook my eggs in olive oil. Olive oil is very good for you. You could actually take a teaspoon of olive oil every day. Is good for your body. So if you cook your eggs in olive oil, you're getting the olive oil that's good for you on top of the protein from the eggs that you need.
It's all about your immune system, and your immune system is mostly in your gut.
Yeah, energize that immune system. That's where it's all at. That's what's going to keep you healthy and happy.
Yeah, what you put down in your gut is going to maintain your the rest of your body. Yeah, and keep you going. You know what I mean? Like, how old am I now?
You forgot. Okay, this is one I remember. 85.
Okay, well, we're about to get into December here. I know you're going to see this podcast later on down the road, probably in January of 2026. So we hope that God will bless you meantime, and you'll have a good day and a good week and a good month and a good year in the new year. We're going to be celebrating down south there and with some of the family. And I hope you'll celebrate too, but not too much. And you can always email us for any ideas you might, or questions you might have about what we're saying here about the music business, about songwriting, recording, any of that. And if you read the book and you have questions about either one of the books we got out now, just send us an email, artistdanball@gmail.com. What's your email, Jimmy?
jmacmusic@AOL. Believe it or not, I'm still on AOL. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, I would say. That was my very first email address, and everybody knows how to find me there, still there. jmacmusic@AOL.com.
How long you had that?
Since 80s, probably early to mid 80s. It was,
I probably had
very
10
on the front end of getting websites when people were just starting to get into it.
Yeah, I had everything from songwrangler at Gmail. Most have been on Gmail, but I did have my own, my own handle. Back.
And don't forget DannyEdwardBall.com.
Yeah,
come see the website. Yeah, we post new things on there.
You can even actually read. I saw where they put on a Rick, our webmaster. He put on a part of the
some book excerpts, from the book, and you can definitely catch some of our music videos and information about latest releases, and you'll be able to see podcast dates and all kinds of fun stuff. So DannyEdwardBall.com.
Okay. I think let's wrap it up that today. And hopefully we'll see you next time. You can always go back and see the other earlier versions of our podcast, and send us a note, an email if you want, or go to the website. You'll even find my phone number on there if you want to call me. And if you call me, leave a message, and I'll have the right person get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a wrap, Jimmy.
Okay, so what do you say?
I say see you later on down the train.